Hey, 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 it's Joel Wolfman, CEO and Master Electrician of Jefferson Electric. This is the fourth and final video. It is now the dark of night. We're about to wrap this up. That's panel terminations, ATS, the full 9 yards. Tom is continuing to solution make it happen. Getting a little tired. That's probably why the volume is up. Apologize if I'm clipped in. Let's see how we did it.
Hey guys, this video was brought to you by Span.
First thing he's gonna do is just go ahead and open this pedestal up, take that cover off. Once he does that, the first thing he'll do is grab the services, the house service that we taped up with, so we would know that it's all together. And then he'll hook up the neutral first. These two with the covers on them are your hot legs. The one that doesn't is your neutral. The block that's in the back, that's your neutral block. So he'll hook that one up first, and then he'll just tighten her down. Now he'll do one hot leg at a time here, keeping the cover on the hot leg that the hot phase he's not working on, so that it doesn't accidentally get a hot phase into the other phase. Okay, so the neutrals, you see the ones that got the yellow stripes on them? Yep. Those are your neutrals, and those are always going to ground. So this one single hole block that's up there, that is grounding that whole pedestal there. So if one of those hot legs were to touch that pedestal, it should go to ground, it should fire. That way, someone doesn't go to take that lid off and that it'd be energized on them and it'd shock them. The big one right there, that's what's feeding this pedestal. Your two smaller wires that are coming in there are your house services. Those are going to houses. So you can also see on those blocks, the two holes that are in the back and the two holes that are in the front are smaller. The two holes that are in the middle are made for bigger wire. So the 500 is a bigger wire, bigger cable. So it has to go in those middle blocks. It won't fit in the two in the back or the two in the front. And then he's just gonna throw some tape on those covers just to make sure those covers don't come off those blocks. With these new meters, I can tell he's got good voltage already. If you look at this meter, it's hard to tell, but right here in this bottom right hand corner, it says 240, which means he's getting 240 volts. But we're gonna go ahead and do our checks. Pop this cover off here. Then I'll have you step in there and check voltage. So the first thing he'll do is check phase to ground voltage. Got 123, 123, and this should be 240. 240. Good. So he's got good voltage. And just put that back right there. He'll put this cover back on. He'll put a seal on this. So we have meter readers, guys that come around and read meters, but with these, they're all digital. So they can look at these in dispatch. They can see these meters up there. So now we don't have guys coming out in the field as often checking, but originally, yeah, you guys would know if they see a seal broke, somebody's been in that meter base. That probably, I'm not necessarily that shouldn't have been. Sometimes we can get in it, sometimes cut it, and a guy will just put one. They might not have another seal with them or something. They'll just put the cut one back on there. Right. But usually, if someone has been tampering, if say this house had been a house that someone had been tampering with, we have red seals that we would put on there. That way we know, hey, this has been tampered with before.
Hey, we're in the attic, right above the electrical panels, and I think this turned out really nice, man. Doesn't that sure beat drilling all the holes? I'm gonna drop a link for the code from the National Electrical Code that allows us to do this in the description. Hope that helps you next time. You can use it in the attic, whether it's open joist or whatever the case may be. Just make sure you are synced up with your local inspector. Man, they love a call in advance to verify the information so that you are respecting their authority. And when they show up, you're on the same page. That is project success. I do have my bump cap on. I'm testing on the nails behind me. And Tim is over here knocking out, refeeding these Romex cables. So major branch circuits coming through here, dropping down, and Tim is getting them fed into the right panel. Tom's down below, and by golly, it's happening. However, Tim, what would you say it's up here? Temp up here, 110?
A quality 98.
No, I think it's hotter than that, bro. Have you ever walked outside and found it to be this hot? I don't think so. I think it's like 110 plus humidity.
All right, I'll take it.
Maybe more. Our camera guy is half drenched in sweat. Tim is definitely about 3/4, and I'm getting out of here as fast as possible. These have been refed. We're gonna come back up for cable management and fire caulking. We are permitted in our jurisdiction to use compacted paperless fiberglass insulation for fire stopping. In fact, that's exactly what's utilized around duct runs and things of that nature to prevent the spread of smoke and flame. So we're super close, but let's go down, button up down below first before we come doing the wire management. We just want to have as much latitude in case something changes. Project sequence equals project success. It's huge. You can't get out of order on this stuff. Let's get back down where it's a little bit cooler. All right. Let's land some circuits. What would you prefer to do, sir? Landing circuits in here, mounting this panel, landing circuits in here.
I want you to tell
Something
me
else?
how the bonding is going on. So, so that wire is coming from lightning rod, we think, or whatever, right?
Correct.
And so there was an extra wire that was in the panel that they had used. But anyhow, don't you have to connect that to this and also to the that?
Yep, exactly. So we have got, he's still going. We have got to run a separate equipment grounding conductor, which is what it's called at this point. It takes on different names at different points, and that's going to go from this ground terminal main through and out to that.
Okay.
And then, let's see, that's a 2-gauge aluminum ground. So that is full capacity. 4-gauge copper, 2-gauge aluminum are equivalent in capacity. So that is 200 amp capacity. So that's what we'll do is this cable going from the 125 over here, obviously that grounding path will be continuous. And that's where the point of connection is going to be between our grounding electrode conductor and our bonding conductor. So that physically making this panel transfer to this panel and make up on the outside on the common ground neutral. Roll right in there or not? Well, that stud is at that cant still. We got to straighten it up, I think, as we go, and then we might have what we need. You want to put it on right there and give it some crank CD? Any more? It's almost square. Can you go any further? Such a significant twist. It's not even quite fully true yet, is it? I'm classic for, it's so close, let's not give up. All right, we're gonna make it easy on ourselves. Pop that out. We're there. And the reason that's okay is because we have a reducing washer to put on that. Threads are still intact. That's somewhat miraculous. And then our bushing, now it's nicely done. Just snug that lock nut up. Everything is tool tight. Secure mechanical connection. Want to get our 128 5-amp feed through here before we start landing our branch circuits so the big conductors can take precedence and then the little stuff, the 14, 12, 10 gauge wires work around that. That's an easier sequence, right? Procedure is important. All right, there's the dry fit. You want to drill that out. We need a SDS. Yep. Oh, you got it. Brosy's on it. That is the fact. That is the fact. And I'll put the crosshairs down here for you. Go ahead. All right, we've dry fit it and I've got the marks so I know exactly where that lines up. Oh, that may be down too far. We didn't dry fit the depth. Let's get it on there real quick.
Okay.
I'm surprised at how far and readily it moved. Yeah, let me bring it back up. Crap.
The top one is okay. I usually do it with it on there.
Yeah. Okay, we're there. It's super tight. It's like super close.
Okay. I usually do it with it, like I'll put this up there and I'll spack that first one and then I'll use my SDS on those.
I see, yep. Go ahead and pull it off and I'll put some goo on it. All right, let's do the bottom ones first. You've got your impacts.
Yep.
Right, exactly. There's a whole set of rules in the code about what is an acceptable disconnecting means, whether it's services, feeders, motors, under 3/4 amp, over 3/4, horsepower, etc. And so in this case, a lockable throw handle is how that reads, and that's this right here where you can lock it in the off position. And so the generator itself will have a kill switch on it, just a simple toggle. But the code, the NEC requires this. And then you'll notice, for no particular reason, actually two things, disconnects are in short supply, like a lot of the other items. This is actually a 3-phase disconnect. We'll just use probably these two. That'll give us a little bit more wire bending radius. Okay, here's a thought. We're gonna put a ground lug in there, double ground lug, so we can terminate both incoming and outgoing. Equipment grounding conductors to the cabinet. And then we want floating neutral that's not connected to this cabinet. And we can do that, you've got to understand your local codes. We can do that here by means of a wire nut. That's a removable neutral connection. And Polaris slug is acceptable too. In fact, it'd have to be, you're exactly right, because the wire nut's not going to accommodate
Okay, I should have some
1/0.
if we need.
Perfect, let's pull that out. Okay. Do you have a double mechanical lug?
I think so.
This is number 2 ground.
Yeah.
You want to look for both of those items? Yep. Love it.
So is that a 100 amp or 200 amp?
240 volt, 100 amp.
Okay.
NEMA 3R, which is rain tight.
It's big because it's 3-phase.
Well, the lockable throw handles are, they're really the only difference is that mechanism right there. All right, so this is the location of the future generator. We're gonna bring you back for a part after the fact once Tom fulfills his wife's wishes, and he's gonna get his generator. It's a 20 kilowatt gas Generac generator. It's going to sit right here. This is the 100 amp lockable disconnect. The average home in America has a 200 amp electrical service. Sometimes the utility infrastructure is insufficient to allow an upgrade of the electrical service without additional fees, and often it means an underground service and tearing up your yard, possibly sidewalks, driveways, in order to get the electrical infrastructure in. SPAN provides the intelligent solution to avoid those costly service upgrades by managing and monitoring electrical loads in a home. It's a simple, intelligent solution. What do you guys think about this? I love these Buckingham bags. See how Bruce has got that organized? Man, I'd love to have one of these for every major work category that we do, right? So you're doing meters, disconnects and panels, boom, you've got one of those stocked and ready to go with nothing but the right stuff. You're doing finish outs, you're doing rough-ins, you're doing service and repair, and you've got 4 or 5 of these babies all ready to go. You might end up with 4 or 5 large flathead screwdrivers, but everybody's already got their main and their backup. You've got your linemen's and your back. You always have your backup. So spend a little extra money and create efficiencies by having one. That's my dream, but I have to work out of the Prius, so it ain't gonna happen. All right. Let's take a look at what Bruce has done in the basement. All right, I like it. So you'll torque it down, 2 zip ties on each, maybe even 1, 2, 3 on that one.
Okay.
And appreciate, let's do one more shot back there.
Yep.
This looks good. You got the service loops, connectors. Things look great. Appreciate that. Let's shot back top of boxes and stuff. This might, just a tad in there, there's not much.
Okay,
You've got that strapped, that's
and
stapled.
Then I did all the way down.
Beautiful, beautiful. That's it. Uh-huh.
What was we doing with this conduit? Is that his or is this ours?
That is his.
Okay.
This is our ladder. Last thing, oh, there's staples?
Yeah.
Last thing
I
we'll...
have a couple staples on top of that ladder.
Oh, you're right. Here you go. Thank you. Last thing we'll do is, well, you know what? Let's do one more staple right there. You don't have a hammer, do you?
Not spray foam? No.
We'll duct seal in there.
Yep.
Yep. Love it. All right, it's a wrap. Recap. We got shot vac, 1 staple, duct seal,
Zip ties,
torque down,
down,
zip ties.
Okay.
Boom.
Thank you.
Bruce, it looks really good. Honor and a privilege. All right, Bruce has done a nice job in the basement. The exterior disconnect is finalized for today until that generator comes in down the road, and we are going to tackle that panel work to get power re-energized to the house ASAP. We're going to get a trash box over here because this wire is messy when you cut it like that. And I'm pre-stripping it before I slip it in the panel. I'm giving myself some grace. Here's the reality. This is commentary from my heart to yours. People Contractors, let's talk about contractors for a minute. They mess up in two ways, right? Either they hold themselves, most often, unfortunately, to a low standard of accountability and responsibility, a low standard of excellence. But what I want to drive home is they hold themselves to a low standard of responsibility. Or on the flip side, if things don't go well and they are someone who holds themselves to a high standard of responsibility, they fall into the trap of shame, of not giving grace to themselves when mistakes are made. Guys, I've made thousands of mistakes, thousands. And one thing you've got to bear in mind is you take responsibility for every single mistake. You never shift the blame, and you give credit. You take responsibility, you give credit, and you give yourself the same grace you would give anyone else. So in the midst of mistake, in the midst of momentary failure, it's just momentary, you fail forward, right? In the midst of momentary failure, you dispel shame and guilt. You take responsibility, you resolve the issue, you give grace to yourself, and you move forward. And there's no other way to keep going day in and day out, because you will fail. This is the imperfect science of the trades. In appliance repair and mechanical work, you take a manufactured part and it fits in one exact and specific way amidst a bunch of other manufactured parts that have all been created in a controlled environment. Here, it is a science, but it is imperfect science of the trades, where you've got often 10 to 20 different ways to fulfill the requirements, and you've got to make sure that it is legitimately good and safe while striving for the highest standard.
If you're going to put that surge protector thing here, is this better with this on this side or that on that side?
That's a good question. We're going to come in, let's do this. Let's come in front of this cable so that when we install the blocking, I like having that in front of this, and then when our point of penetration will be about, it's half inch, right anywhere in here. I think we're okay. I like what you're thinking though. Yeah, no, I like it. One second. I do need to actually, you did, great. Let's take these apart so we can start sending them where they need to go. Back it up, and then come through, and we'll come real slowly. And I think red and black will come off here, and white and ground will go through. Use it. Screwdriver. Need kind of that pry bar effect. All right, and come on through. Yep. Okay, hold it. Okay, keep coming. There it is. That's what we were looking for. All right, keep coming. Give you some more. Almost there. And we are there.
Okay, we are making progress. It's 6:16 p.m. This is how it always goes on cutover day. You got to watch your time. You got to work hard at the start of the day. You have to plan to stay late and tell your wife or significant other it's going to be late. I'm going to do my best. The panel has landed. We've got our main feeders coming in the bottom. Breakers in the off position. We're just about to test. Utility power is on, and we're going to turn on circuit by circuit by circuit. I'm going to leave this breaker off but I am going to go ahead and turn on the basement sub panel, and we'll test down there as well. So leave your breakers in the off position. Once you've tested power with your own voltmeter, turn the breaker on, main on first, and then start bringing your loads online. You'll notice this is the plug-on neutral panel, which I love. Every panel at this point in this day and age, Jefferson policies, every panel, you can tell it's getting late. Every panel is a plug-on neutral because AFCI, GFCI, and combination devices, you've got to decongest it. It's busy enough as it is. We've got a 100 amp feeder over here, 125 down, we've got the 200 in, plus all of our branch circuits, and it's not full yet. So it's going to get better than that. Woo! I think we're ready to energize and test for power. Okay. That's going to be for our surge suppressor, which will land there. That's not the priority for today if we run out of time. We still got all these circuits to land. More fun to be had. If any of you are available, swing on over. We could use some help. Let's test for power and start turning on these circuits to restore the portions of the house as we can. Let's go outside. There it is. I don't know what the deal was.
Now, do we have it down here, or does this have to go in the other position?
There it is.
Okay.
Huh. It could have been my tester fell asleep and hadn't shut off or something weird.
That wouldn't have any because that would be from the generator.
So it's not common with this until you throw that switch, huh? Okay.
Now, if we pop this, then we should no longer have the 240 on the bottom.
All right, we're there.
Okay, this thing says throw the switch. I guess it still has power, so it knows that don't do that to me.
Got it. Okay. It did drop out when you did that and came back.
All right.
Okay.
Sounds like that's working, so that's interesting because if you do that, yeah, okay.
Pop. All right. Tuck this in here, put the covers on. Do our commissioning sequence inside to bring our circuits online. Tom, you made a good point on a couple accounts. We've pulled the 3 fuses out before we energize power. We're leaving those out. Is that correct? Until the communications and control wiring are connected.
Yep.
So fuses are out. Wiring.
The Generac startup sequence tells you when to put them in once we get to the other side and put a generator in.
Perfect. So those don't go in until the generator. You've got your parts back here.
2 of them are for the sensing. So basically it's monitoring the power here, and then the control circuitry will be in the generator that says that, oh, we're losing power, it's time to switch over. So 240 is actually going through 2 sense wires in here to the other side once it's there. And then the other thing is other fuses for a battery charger for the other side. And then what we've got here, the 2-wire unit, is this thing has a smart air conditioner module. So basically it'll support up to 4 different air conditioners. In our case, we'll just have one. It's just basically a make or break. And what will happen then is this 2-wire that will connect to that will then go in series with the connector contactor on the air conditioner, so that if this unit thinks, oh, we're getting up there, it can shed the power by breaking that connection.
That's good. That's good. And Tom made a good point. He said, let's just leave these disconnected in here, taped up in a coil to avoid picking up transient lightning voltage or fault current from something. So I think we're ready to throw the switch.
Yeah.
Avert our eyes. So far, so good. Bada bing, bada boom. Everything's firing up. Let's check our new outlet. That's a 220 20 amp down here. Yeah, you can smell that fresh heater with the factory oil on the coils. 256. That's live. Did we get a plate for that? Let's put that on. And now we do a check all the way down. Because I've had bad breakers out of the box. And what you do is you check everything. So that's reading 127, that's 128, and just go right up the line. Sometimes a breaker does not set, something doesn't get energized. Customer calls you at 10 p.m. and says, wait a second, my wife and I are going to bed and we got no juice in the master bedroom. Could you come out here and check that? You could have just used your voltmeter, guys. So we're sitting at 254 here. My question is, when we used to call it 220, and we called it 240. When are we going to call it 260? Because we're almost there now. All right, look away, throw the switch, watch your hands, everything's off. Boom. Hey, you never know. Let's turn on that basement sub panel. There's a big one. All right. Boom, boom, boom. Bringing loads on. Everything that's got a compressor is probably turning on right now. All right, we are in the basement. Let's give it a check. Boom, boom. System's live. 126. I love it. Green light says correct.
Push the test button.
Boom. Mine's good. Hot to hot, 240. Hot to ground, 127. Resets.
Oh, push that. Yep.
There it is.
Okay.
All right. To reset a GFCI breaker, or any type of breaker, any type of breaker, you always go to the off position first and back on.
I guess we should try the self-test button, right?
Let's do it. Boom.
Okay.
All right.
Very good. All right.
We're starting to check some big boxes. Getting close. All right. The surge suppressor is going in right now, Bruce. 1 twist per inch. Make those leads as short as possible and make the surge breaker. Make sure it's rated according to the manufacturer installation specifications. 2-pole 30 is going to work. And then put it as close to the incoming main as possible. We reserve these positions for our feeders in order to minimize the disruption to the rest of the panel. But surge is next. The drywaller confirmed, in this case, Tom, because he's so handy, confirmed that he's okay with that transition into the wall, and he's going to make it work. So he's got a little bit of drywall finishing and work there. But he really wanted the surge surface mounted so that he could see the LED indication lights. If something went out, he wanted to be able to access and replace it. The alternative installation method would be utilize an access panel and put that surge right here with a 3/4 inch offset nipple located inside the wall and mounted to this insulation board. This FS surge suppressor series from Siemens, big fan personally. I think it's a high quality product. There is a platinum product out there. You can pay about $2,000 installed for that. But this one, most contractors are going to be probably charging that $500-$600 range. So that's a good value for a high quality product. Tom's then going to slip this plywood out of here when he slides his drywall in for the final installation. So this 1/2 inch plywood is just a spacer. This 2x6 is the structure. Plywood's the spacer, and it's time to lace in this panel and keep going. What's it, about 6:45 p.m. right now? Just keep trucking. Okay. Ready?
All right.
Set. Garage lights.
There's lights. Boom! No, just kidding.
Oh, you had to.
Is this
No
the,
way.
Is that the dry? I mean, is that the range?
Let's try one more. Okay.
So remember, he was doing the
forward
black.
Is electric range. Yep. All right. It is 8:44 p.m. A little later than usual. The breeze blowing through this open door. It feels great. We have continued to solve problems and make hay while the sun shines.
Generator's got lights, so that pretty soon we can have lights inside
We're ready to throw the switch,
and get some AC too.
test throughout, make sure everything comes up live. And Tom, looking for your comments.
All
How'd
right.
this go?
So, I was looking for somebody to partner with. I'm an electrical engineer. I've done a whole basement by myself, about the size of a small house, but this was a little bit more than I could or should do. And so I was looking for people to partner with. Reached out to some electrical firms and said, nope, we do the whole thing or nothing at all. So it turned out I find you on Electric Pro Academy. I reached out to you. I said, well, at least I'll get him to talk to me if I spend the $25 or whatever it was. So we ended up having this conversation, and we really connected. And he said, yeah, I'll work with you on this. And so, my friends, I'm an electrical engineer, not an electrician, but I love this stuff. And my friends were like, you're nuts. I said, I know I'm nuts, but I like doing this stuff. So, anyhow, we reached out and said, here's what I'd like to do. We spent probably a month and a half with me coming up with proposals and you bouncing off. Went through a whole process of looking at Siemens versus Square D and looking holistically at what you had support for, what was going on with our fault interrupters, made a choice. So they showed up yesterday. I tried to pave a path, which I think I did,
100%.
to give them as much chance for success as possible. And there were only really 2 surprises out of the whole thing. First was being a good guy and said, would you like me to drill a couple extra holes here in this header for you? I said, so when you run these extra wires, sure. Where's the water main? You better shut it off. So, but no big deal. I'm the plumber too, so I was able to clean that up. And then we were looking at this, and we knew we were going to be short on wire. And so we were like, okay, what's the highest we can put this? We came up with a calculation. Then we said, you know what? We can actually drop it a couple inches here because we were comparing the old panel, now we have 2, to this. We can drop it a couple inches so it's not so high so Linda can reach the stuff and all that. So we did that, and then all of a sudden was, the other box was this much higher. So we ended up a little short right here, but this trusty sidekick over here went over and got us some nice big heat shrink. I had a heat gun, heated the stuff up, solved it. And this guy right here, this one is an absolute beauty because he had plenty of wire to work with. This is pretty nice.
It's coming into focus. We'll use some zip ties and do a little fit and finish on it.
But he does great work. So I couldn't be happier, really, really happy.
So in about 6 to 9 months, we'll pick up on the generator install. For now, click here for our next video and subscribe to Electric Pro Academy for real skills to make real money.